Welcome to the Commercial Property Podcast. My name is Suzi Carter. I am a chartered surveyor. I've been involved in commercial property in the UK for 30 years and I've done hundreds of commercial property deals. I'm here to be your guide through the commercial property market, whether you're an experienced investor or whether you're literally thinking about dipping your toe in the world of commercial real estate. I will be here talking to you about all kinds of things commercial real estate in the UK, and I've also got some fantastic guest experts who are joining me. So please do subscribe if you'd like to follow, and if you'd like any more help or information on commercial real estate, please do click www.suzicarter.com, which is my website, and you can find out all the ways I can help you. So stay tuned for this week's episode. Welcome back to the Commercial Property Podcast and happy 2026. I hope you've had a wonderful festive season and a very, very happy new year to you. So January is a time when we set our new intentions, and January is a time when you can really start to fast track your commercial investing. So if you've been thinking about moving into commercial or buying more commercial properties, then this is for you in terms of how you can actually create a blueprint to move forwards. So I'm going to be talking to you about how you can move from being confused to confident in just 90 days. And having worked now with hundreds of investors, I can tell you that it's those that take action based on a similar blueprint to the one I'm going to tell you where people move forwards. So 2026 is going to be a great year to start. We're still in a down market. I think we're going to see a lot more deals coming to the market. We tend to see the January effect anyway, when a lot of vendors, hold off before Christmas and then put properties on the market in January, motivated sellers to get Q1 sales. So it's a great time. There's also lower competition in the market. We're definitely seeing lower prices. And I think we're going to see more motivation amongst vendors who've been holding off for the last 2 to 3 years to see whether the market's going to recover. And I think they've realized that probably it's not. So actually now is going to be a great opportunity. But there's not opportunities everywhere. And I think that it's important that anything that is occupied by a business is a commercial property, and therefore businesses are performing very differently right across the board. So some of the skill in being a commercial investor is finding a niche that works for you and your investing objectives, and also works for tenants. There's got to be great tenant demand. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today. People stay stuck and don't move forwards because there's lots of blockers, which some of which are definitely real and others of which are we make up, and we all do it, like, no matter who we are. So things like, I don't know enough yet, it feels too big and intimidating, I don't know where to start, analysis paralysis, depending on the type of person you are, fear of making a mistake. We all make mistakes, believing commercials for the pros and not for smaller investors. Also, interestingly, carrying residential assumptions into commercial, looking at commercial in a similar way to residential. Of course, it's very, very different. But commercial isn't more complex than residential. It's just different. It just works differently. So whereas with residential, what we're looking at is doing refurbs, new kitchens, bathrooms, extensions to make a property look nicer, and therefore the value is going to increase. What we're looking at with commercial is trying to either improve the rent, because every time the rent improves, you get a higher capital value, or the yield, which basically reflects the risk. So we want to get yield compression, which is basically we want to bring the yields down. So buy at a higher yield, force value through our asset management, and then bring yields down as part of that asset management. So once you learn the rules in commercial, everything becomes clear. It's just having some knowledge and understanding of how to move forwards. So let's look at a 90-day blueprint, how you can increase your confidence in commercial property. And I think the first thing is the first 30 days needs to be clarity and knowledge, because I strongly, strongly believe that you can't move forwards without that. So it's about understanding the strategy, your criteria, and some of the commercial fundamentals, basically. And this doesn't have to be complicated. You just need to understand the different sectors in commercial, I've got loads of free resources. I've done this podcast for well over a year now, so you can listen into this as well, and just understand the different dynamics of the main sectors. Obviously, I teach this in all my courses as well. And every market in commercial, every location in commercial behaves differently. And so some of the skill is really understanding that. And that's why we niche, because each of these strategies and each of these locations, they just perform differently. Also, kind of understanding where your starting lane is. So it's not about picking 5 strategies. It's not about scattergun investing right across the UK. It's about niching. It's about understanding locations that work well for you. So you might say, well, how do I do that? Well, all of us, we live in an area. We will have visited other areas. Like once you start getting and my board members now quote this expression, but once you get the right commercial property pair of spectacles on, then you will start seeing property in a different way, or you start seeing towns and cities in a different way. So what do I mean by that? Well, it's about understanding commercial enough so that when you go and look at commercial property, you notice it. It's like that reticular activating system in your brain that, if you buy a red car, it notices red cars everywhere on the road. In fact, you think, gosh, how did I never notice these red cars before? But actually, it's exactly the same thing in commercial. You'll start seeing opportunities everywhere. I literally can't go for a day out with the family without seeing opportunities everywhere. So it's about kind of getting that pair of spectacles in through increasing your knowledge and immersing yourself in commercial. It's about understanding yields and leases and tenants and how the commercial property market broadly works. It's also about your personal objectives. Start with the end in mind. I strongly believe that when you're investing, you shouldn't scattergun invest. Start with where you want to get to. So if you want to get to £5,000 a month cash flow or £10,000 a month, then work back from that. Do you want to invest close to home, further away? Just set some rules for yourself. And also, your budget and your financial plan. So where you're going to get your funds from. And obviously there needs to be an action plan. If you want to get investors, there needs to be an action plan on that as well. And, identify your investment drivers. Is it a SaaS play? Do you want to, invest in safe, longer term assets on your SaaS? Do you want cash flow? Do you want profit? What is it? So you don't need to learn everything. You don't need to kind of, analysis by paralysis and learn everything. You just need enough clarity to recognize what's a good deal, basically. And as I say, I've got loads of free resources, both in my Facebook feed, the podcast, loads of free webinars that I've done for you to be able to hopefully understand that. And of course, through my various courses where I really hold clients' hands and kind of give them lots and lots of information. Phase 2 is about building your confidence, the practical competence and market awareness that basically makes you feel capable. And a lot of this stuff really is about how we feel, how confident we feel about things. So, that's really, really important. And this is where it's really basic stuff. And what I'm about to tell you is going to seem so obvious, but it's easy to do, but it's also super easy not to do. So I would recommend diarizing actions in your diary, maybe having some kind of accountability, either to yourself or to somebody else. But it's actually, when my board clients and when my Commercial Property Academy clients, I can tell the people who are going to be successful because it's the people that do what I'm about to tell you to do. And without fail, they will get the deals the quickest. So first one is looking at the portals every single day. So I'm talking LoopNet, I'm talking a Property Link Estates Gazette, Rightmove Commercial, Zoopla Commercial, local agents' websites, and review deals every day. Look at auctions as well. Speak to commercial agents as well. You need to be looking at commercial property all the time. And I've got clients that literally do a morning source. They just go onto the portals for half an hour every single morning, and they're bringing me deals all the time. And, and they're almost learning as much from what doesn't work or what they don't like as much as what they do like. And it's just that it's a numbers game. It's just getting your eye into commercial property. Number 2, speak to lenders, brokers, and at least kind of 2 or 3 local agents in your chosen niche or chosen patch to understand the market a bit better, maybe do some viewings, understand the art of the possible with regard to your lending. And of course, Bond Finance sponsor this podcast. So Callum Brooks at Bond Finance, I can highly recommend. Speak to lenders if you've got direct line to lenders. And to try to understand leases, you can download commercial leases off the internet, and you can just read commercial leases and just try and understand the clauses. Obviously, again, I help my clients with this, but you can download commercial leases and then just evaluate deals and work out. I have a very simple formula when I work with clients on deals, and that's basically looking at buying at a price where you can still add value. So, for example, if it's a vacant unit, buying at a price such that when you let that property, you'll actually be able to add value, because that's the whole name of the game. A lot of the asking prices I see at the moment are not assuming that a property is vacant. So you want to offer at a price where you can make money from it, and that's the real skill. So it's about it's about evaluating this. And the more you evaluate, the more that you will look at what's not right for you, and you will also find deals that actually work. And I'm telling you, it's a numbers game. You're going to have to believe me on this. It's just looking at as many commercial deals as possible. Obviously, if you really want to get under the skin of how to stack deals, then you can join my community or get support on this. But just by looking at properties daily, you can do this. So confidence doesn't come from overthinking; it comes from doing small daily repetitions, and do it very, very consistently. And that definitely is the name of the game.
This episode is brought to you by Bond Finance Limited, your trusted partner for commercial property mortgage solutions. Are you an experienced residential property investor about to diversify into commercial property, looking for funding options? Bond Finance can help. Whether you're planning to expand, refinance, or make a major property investment, Bond Finance provides expert advice with access to a wide range of lenders, from high street to specialist. Book a free discovery session today to explore how we can tailor commercial funding solutions to your unique investment strategy. Visit www.bondfinanceltd.co.uk and take the next step in your commercial finance journey.
Phase 3, kind of the last third of our action plan, is about taking action. So it's about kind of taking the steps towards preparing for an offer. So you've got some clarity on the direction of travel. You're starting with the end in mind. You're working out a niche. Phase 1, phase 2, you are like getting out there. You're just taking action. You're doing a lot of stuff. You're looking at a lot of properties. You're getting a reticular activating system in your brain activated so that when you go out and look at commercial, you look at it with a different pair of spectacles. And phase 3 is about taking action. It's about arranging viewings. It's about asking motivation from vendors. It's about getting under the skin of what a vendor will accept. It's about stress testing numbers. It's about positioning yourself as a serious buyer. And, if you didn't listen to my episode with an interview with Steve, the agent, it'd be really important for you to listen to that. Some great, real gold dust in terms of tips, how you can position yourself with agents. And you need to get comfortable, and this is the real nub of it, to move forwards before everything feels perfect. And, that can feel confusing. Anything new can feel confusing, but that's really what it's all about. At this point, most people already know enough to invest, but confidence becomes action. And that's really what we want to do. We want to build that action. So phase 3 is about doing viewings, stacking deals, speaking to agents, meeting tenants, whatever it might be. So, for example, if you are looking at buying a commercial property that's tenanted, when you do a viewing, you can ask tenants how they're trading. Are you happy here? Do you want to stay? And the more times you have that conversation, I have clients that I work with, and they say, why would the tenant talk to you? And then I take them out and we do a viewing, and they're like, wow, they literally told you everything, including like how much their electricity bill is and how much their water bill is. I was like, yeah, you're just friendly, you're just having a chat, but you get some fantastic intel. And it's the proof, it's the confidence that comes from the proof of doing that is so very, very valuable. So take massive action. That's what it is. It's consistent daily steps to move forwards. And then after 90 days, if you've taken this action, and obviously, as I say, it's easy not to do, but it's also easy to do. You can understand the numbers, you can understand the sector and the niche that you're working in. You visited, like, I highly recommend you get out in the car and visit commercial property. It's so important. Like, we all try and be desktop warriors these days. But when I get out in the car and I go and do viewings and I look at commercial, I see opportunities everywhere, and you really get under the skin of an investing location in a certain niche. So I'd recommend you get out there. You'll be building relationships with agents. You'll have established your credibility. You'll have stacked deals, evaluated deals, you've viewed properties, and potentially you might even be ready to offer. So, I've worked with many, many clients now, and I'm telling you now that it's the ones that take out this action that move forward. So I started working with a client about 6 months ago, and he had been literally, excuse the expression, kind of dancing around handbags for probably a couple of years. He had actually had some investors lined up, but he hadn't been pulling the trigger on deals, and there was definitely a lack of confidence, but he was very driven to do that. We started working together, and within about 3 or 4 weeks, actually, he'd found his first deal, and it's a cracker. He managed to get £250,000 off the asking price. He didn't think that was possible until I pushed him to put the right offer out, and it's an all money out deal, and it's an absolute blinder. And he literally had been half-heartedly looking at portals for the last couple of years. So he's just taking the action, and honestly, he's a model client. He's just taking daily action. He's moving forwards. He's probably one of the busiest people that I've ever met, but it's kind of, he's so efficient with his time, and he's actually getting stuff done. I also, when I start with my board members, I know the ones that are going to be successful, because they're the ones that I speak to on a regular basis. They're sending me deals all the time. They're talking to agents. They're finding deals that don't work, but I tell them they don't work and why they don't work, and then they pivot. They look at other things, and they are the ones that, move forwards. And I've got clients that have done deals in the 6 months on the board because they literally have been laser focused on the action, and they're just taking that action. So I do hope that's helpful. I appreciate that when you're starting a new strategy, it can feel super confusing, especially if it's very different to anything that you've done before. But this stuff doesn't have to be hard. You can move forwards very quickly just by taking daily action and lots of activity. If you want 2026 to be the year where you move forward, then I can support you in lots of different ways. I've got lots of different programs, from online program, weekly deal clinics, monthly mentoring, Facebook groups, right through to personal mentoring on the board, where I work with a really small group of people. I also have 2 blueprint days in January and February, where I'm giving a whole day of board level mentoring. I'm changing the content up this year, so it's much more practical in terms of exactly how to source, exactly how to stack deals, and we will be doing a load of practical exercises there. So the link is below if you'd like to sign up for one of those days, and they're fantastic value as well. They're really not expensive, because I want to make this accessible to everybody. So obviously, appreciating that if you're listening to this after December, January 2026, that these will have expired. But it really is a great opportunity to get that knowledge and move forward in 2026. So take massive action. If you hear nothing else in this podcast other than that, it's all about daily activity. Diarize a daily activity and hold yourself accountable, and you will definitely move forwards in your commercial property investing journey in 2026. I will see you next time.